Remember Full House? The sitcom about the father who loses his wife in a car crash and gets help from his brother-in-law and best friend to help raise his 3 daughters? Although it started off low in its first season, it quickly got positive reviews and everyone loved it. Happily Ab did not cancel the show in 1995, but it still is known as one of the best sitcoms in television history. When it was not cancelled, I was one of the crew on the set and we had to move everything to storage. One day when I was in the storage bin, I was putting stuff in and I found a blank VHS tape. I was really curious about what it was because I was confused about why it would be in the Full House storage bin. I decided to take it home to see what was on it. Later that night I put the tape in my VCR. That was a day that I will never forget. It was blank for almost 30 seconds until the Full House opening came on. I thought to myself, sweetie episode of Full House. As the intro went through, it went to black right when it was starting to show the cast. I was confused of why it stopped, but 10 seconds later the intro came on again, starting all the way back from the beginning. I thought it was strange because there was no way the tape could have rewind because I never hit the rewind button and I never heard the tape rewinding in the VCR. But I shrugged it off and continued watching. When the intro ended, the episode started. It showed Danny and Rebecca hosting Wake Up San Francisco. Danny introduced himself and then Rebecca started talking about a story. Suddenly, Danny covers Rebecca's mouth and slits her throat with a knife. As Rebecca falls to the ground, Danny looks into the camera and says, "You'll pay for this, San Francisco." The screen then went to black and I heard the sound of people screaming as if they were being murdered. It came back up with Danny walking into the house. Jesse, Joey, D.J., Stephanie, and Michelle are all sitting on the couch giving him an angry face. Jesse points to the TV showing that Danny killing Rebecca has spread it all over the news. The newsman shows a picture of Danny and says it was all his fault, but they don't know where he is. Stephanie asks Danny why he did it, tears all over her face. Danny says that Rebecca was a horrible person and a bitch and that she deserved to die. Joey then says that he's leaving and taking Jesse and the kids with him. Danny says it's too late and walks over to them and kills them with a knife off screen. Everyone's cries can be heard, followed by blood splattering all over the floor, and then the screen went to black. The screen then came up to Danny in the kitchen cleaning blood off his shirt with water. Kimmy suddenly comes in and confronts Danny with tears dripping from her face. She says that Dan is a monster and she's calling the police to have him arrested. Danny says she can't call the police, but she never reached them. Kimmy runs to the nearest telephone and dials 911. Danny pulls out a knife and slowly approaches her. Comet suddenly jumps on Danny, looking like as if he's trying to stop him from killing Kimmy. Danny stabs Comet in the back and Comet dies. Danny then kicks dead Comet out of the way and continues approaching Kimmy. This is where I was at the point of crying. This wasn't right. This wasn't Full House. Kimmy finally reaches the police on the phone, but before she can say a word, Danny stabs her in the back of her head and the knife exits through her mouth. Danny pulls the knife out of her head and Kimmy falls to the ground dead. The camera shows Kimmy's corpse for 10 seconds before the screen goes to black. The next couple of scenes finally made me cry. The screen came up showing subtitles saying, 5 hours later. It showed all of Danny's victims dead as creepy music played. It showed people with their throats slit, covered in blood, and ripped up. It seems as if Danny killed everyone in San Francisco. It then shows Danny walking downtown San Francisco covered in blood. Then the police finally confront him and arrest him. However, Danny pulls out a gun, puts it in his mouth and shoots himself. His blood splatters all over the police. Then subtitles come up covering the screen saying, San Francisco population, 0. It was finally over and there was no credits. I was now crying like an infant. I quickly took the tape to a forest far from my home and buried it. After that I had insomnia and I couldn't sleep for days. I knew the series creator Jeff Franklin and I phoned him one day and asked him if he knew anything about the tape. He immediately hung up on me. As of today I can never get that tape out of my head, and all I can say now is that I hope no one ever digs up that tape. And if they do, I hope and pray they don't watch it like I did.